All right, hey, you guys, real talk for a second. The school year has clearly just started because I just recorded this entire episode once with my microphone on mute. You guys, if that doesn't scream teacher in September, back to school mode, I don't know what else does. But hey, math teacher bestie, welcome back to the Modern Math Teacher Podcast. I'm Kristen Moore. I'm your guide to teaching math that is real, relevant, and rigorous without burning out. And we're going to do this all over again so that what goodies I had in store for you, you actually get today. And today we're digging into a big shift that changes pretty much everything, okay? And that is student-centered teaching, right? I know you've heard the term before, but what does it actually look like in a real secondary math classroom? And more importantly, I know you're thinking this, how do we hand students more ownership without losing control of the class? Are you up for it? Let's talk about this. Let's dive in. First up, let's be clear about something. What student-centered teaching is. Student-centered teaching is not just about letting kids pick their own partners or do a jigsaw every once in a while, okay? Those are great, but they're not the essence. At its core, student-centered teaching is about shifting the focus from what you're doing to what your students are doing, okay? It means you are doing the planning for the thinking, the questioning, the collaboration, the reflection, not just the completion of an activity, the completion of the notes, the completion of the lesson, whatever it is, okay? And now I'm always real with you, right? So let's be real for a minute. I know it's scary to give up control when you have spent years of your life, or, maybe months if you're a new teacher, okay? Fine-tuning classroom management and routines. So here's what I need you to start shifting in your mind for me. Student-centered does not mean chaos, okay? It means strategic autonomy. Okay, that is our key difference here. We're setting up structures that let students make meaningful decisions inside of clear boundaries and structures that you, as the expert teacher in the classroom, have set up. Okay, so some things I want you to think are like open-ended tasks instead of step-by-step projects or packets, right? Step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Step 3. We want it to be open-ended so our students can approach it from different ways, okay? We also want to think about visible group roles and expectations. Now, that's because we don't just want to throw our kids together in a little group and be like, hey, you guys all go do this, because we know when we do this, one person's going to do the majority of the work. Somebody's going to be completely slacking off, and the others are just kind of there on the periphery, okay? So visible group roles and, importantly, expectations there. And also space for student voice in the pacing, the process, or the product, okay? We want the work to feel like it is their work, not your work, okay? And that's when engagement is going to go up. And spoiler alert, when engagement goes up, behavior problems go down. It's magical, okay, you guys? So here's what I want you to think about right now. Let's say your class is a little bit teacher-led right now. And listen, friend, no judgment. We've all been there, especially at the beginning of the year. Like, it's probably bound to happen, right? Here are 3 low-lift ways you can start shifting toward a more student-centered math classroom without overhauling everything, okay? Number 1, I want you to start your next lesson with a thinking task or activity, okay? This could be something like popping up a visual pattern, or doing a notice and wonder, or a which one doesn't belong. Something to get your students' minds activated where they're going to have to start thinking on their own. You're not going to do any hand-holding here. This is just giving them space to wonder and explore and come up with ideas on their own, right? Of course, that aligns really well with those building thinking classroom practices. And most importantly, it is a very low-risk, safe way for your students to start engaging in their own thinking in math class, especially if you do it during like a warm-up or a lesson opener where they are just talking with the nice people around them. It gives them that safe space, okay? So I want you to start one lesson this week with a thinking task or activity, something to activate their minds. Number 2, I want you to use group structures that actually promote learning. It is not enough to just throw our kids in groups and expect them to do work that is meaningful and to work well together, okay? You can absolutely use random groups. I love it. Get them in 3s if you can. We've heard all about how important that is, but I want you to give them group roles and then shared materials. See, here's the thing. If you give them group roles, they know what's expected of them. They know how to contribute to the group that they're in. And when they know how to contribute, that's when they're going to contribute, you guys, okay? This taps into the cooperative teaching strategies and student engagement activities. It is a win-win. Our students are learning together. They're building their knowledge together. They're engaging in that discourse. You definitely want to make sure that your group structures are promoting student learning because they have group roles, and the roles have expectations. So number 2, if you're using groups this week, which I highly encourage you to do, make sure you give them each a group role. Okay. Number 3, I want you to offer your students voice, okay, in the process, not just the product. I know it can be a little scary, right? But I want you to think about how you could let students choose how they show their work, how they reflect, or how they explain something. How are they best going to be able to communicate that information to you? Is it in the written form? Is it a conversation with you? Is it, like a Schoology discussion post? What is it that they want to do to show you and explain how they did their work, to reflect on the process, whatever it is that you want them to do? And here's a quick way you could add to this. Add a metacognitive question. There we go. I can speak. To the end of an assignment or a lesson, right? Like, what did you try first and why did you try that? Okay. So this is not about just like throwing out your curriculum. It is about embedding choice and autonomy into that curriculum. And that's where the game changer is. Now, listen, friend, I know if you're here, you're thinking, okay, student-centered sounds great, but it sounds like the kids are doing a whole lot. What about classroom management? Okay, the fear that student-centered teaching is just chaos is a very real fear, but have no fear, you guys. For real, classroom management actually gets easier when our students are actually engaged. Who would have thought? If our students are engaged in their learning, their behaviors are better, and so our behavior management issues go down. Okay, so let's be clear though, you do need some structure. Here are some things that work for me to make sure that I do not just have a chaotic classroom. I have a well-oiled machine, a smooth sailing ship, whatever metaphor you want to apply to that, think about this, okay? First up, you have to have clear classroom norms, and it's really important if you have them built collaboratively. I use a social contract or a class contract, following, CKH, Capturing Kids' Hearts ideas. It's great because the students have contributed to it. There's buy-in. They know what to do and what's expected of them in my classroom. Now, if you have younger students, so like middle school students, or you've got like freshmen also work really well with this, use the CHAMPS method of setting expectations for the different activities, because it tells them then, how to converse, how to get help, what they should be actively doing to participate, how they can move, and what success looks like, right? So that's key to our students in engaging in kind of these more like open-ended activities. They need a little bit of structure and support to know that they're doing it right and to know and understand how to behave, okay? So number 1, set some clear classroom norms with your students. Number 2, you've got to model what you want to see. So you need to model the kinds of questions, the kind of collaboration, and the risk-taking that you want to see from your students in the classroom. Because up until now, depending on their experiences, their math class has probably looked a lot like, sitting in a desk, taking notes, copying down from the board, working on their homework, checking it with their neighbor, whatever it is, right? But we need to model the kind of collaboration that we want to see. So maybe you post an open-ended task to the front of the board, and you grab another 1 or 2 students to come model with you. You approach that problem that's up there, and you say, okay. And you just start like circling things or underlining or organizing it however it makes sense to you to start approaching this problem. This shows our students that they can approach a problem from different perspectives, right? And as you're doing this, you want to talk out loud and model the thinking that's happening in your brain so students get to understand what they should be doing when they approach these open-ended tasks too, right? And if you have other students who are up there with you, that's where you can do that collaboration. So, especially if you're doing like VNPs, and you want to do the 1 person, 1 marker, but the person who's doing the writing isn't doing the explaining, hand the marker to a student, have them capture your ideas. Then hand it to another student and you capture their ideas, right? So go ahead and model those kinds of things for your students. Also, I want to make sure that you don't just give your students voice. It's great that they can converse, right? But you have to teach them how to use it. If we want our students engaging in these rich, powerful mathematical discussions where they are, diving deeply into the mathematics behind it, we need to give them structure to do it. So you can think about, sentence starters, discussion starters, sentence stems, any of those things to teach our students how to use their voice and have a routine and a structure in place to make those conversations meaningful. At the beginning of the year, I like to make a strip of these and put them at the top of a desk, and you can just kind of laminate it, and that gives it to them right there. It's always up at the top of the desk. They can always refer back to it if they're not sure how to engage in something. Okay. So here's the big thing here, you guys. Something to remember. Freedom without structure is chaos. Okay. Structure without freedom is compliance. We're aiming for commitment, not compliance. We need to give our students the structure to support the freedom that they have inside of our student-centered classroom. Okay. All right, you guys, here's your takeaway, my teacher friend. As we wrap up this episode, I want you to start with one small shift, just one. Maybe it's a new opener tomorrow. Okay. Maybe it's letting your students choose between 2 different formats for explaining their work. Whatever it is, you are still in control. You're just choosing to use your power as the teacher to empower your students and their thinking. And that, my friends, is the secret to real student-centered teaching. Okay. You guys, if this episode sparked something for you, I would love it if you shared it with a colleague, or better yet, pop into our Facebook group and tell us what you are going to try next. Until next time, you guys, remember, you're in control, but we can always put our student learning at the center. Until next time, keep it real.